Dear Chosen One, I come today with a very specific word, and I need you to understand from the start. This word is not for everyone. If your spirit is not being stirred, if you don't feel a pull deep in your soul, it may not be your season. But if something is already vibrating within you just by hearing the title, then you know this might be the moment you've been waiting for. The Holy Spirit made it clear to me. This is a message for those who already had glimpses, confirmations, dreams, and whispers from heaven. This word will not create belief in you. It will confirm what God has already been showing you in secret. That's how divine revelation works. When it's truly yours, it doesn't shock you, it activates you. I want to remind you to always take every word you hear back to God. Just because a message makes you emotional doesn't mean it's for you. True confirmation doesn't rely on emotions. It rests in alignment. God will always confirm through dreams, visions, or deep inner knowing, something that no one else could possibly know but you and Him. Sometimes He even refreshes your memory in the moment, helping you recall a dream you thought you had forgotten. That's when you realize He's been speaking to you all along. This message today touches on kingdom marriages. Yes, but more deeply, it addresses why some of you had to walk away from someone who felt spiritually undeniable. There's a group of chosen ones who already met the right person, but the timing was wrong. The pain was real. The confusion almost broke you. But now the shift has begun, and your king is ready. This word will explain why the separation had to happen, and why what felt like rejection was actually protection and preparation. If your spirit is already burning with this truth, comment below and write 777 as a sign of divine alignment. Clear. Leave a like if your heart is already receiving this word. Subscribe and turn on the bell, because the clarity you've been praying for starts now. There's a divine release happening right now in the spirit realm, and it's not random. God is orchestrating a very specific kind of restoration for a group of His chosen ones. Some of you have been in an extended season of silence, waiting and wondering if what you once felt was just your imagination. But heaven is moving. The marriages God ordained before the foundations of the world are being activated, and no demonic force, no delay, no betrayal, no spell of separation can stop what God is setting in motion. If this is for you, you already feel it. Your atmosphere has been shifting. Your dreams have been loud again. And your discernment has been catching things even when you try to stay silent. But before we go further, you need to understand something foundational. Many of you met the right person, but it was the wrong time. And that wasn't a mistake. That was divine strategy. God allowed the encounter, but withheld the relationship. He gave you the revelation, but delayed the fulfillment. Why? Because what He is building in you and in them requires process. The promise is real, but it's sacred, and sacred things cannot be rushed. You didn't imagine it. You weren't crazy. You were early. And now, the timing has come into alignment. When God allows you to meet your person before you're ready to be with them, it's usually because He's trying to protect you from a counterfeit that would have swallowed your destiny. Once you've experienced the real, it becomes nearly impossible to fall for the fake. That divine encounter awakened your spirit. It unlocked gifts. It stirred something you couldn't explain. You became more spiritually sensitive. Your connection with God intensified. Why? Because this wasn't just chemistry. It was covenant. And when a covenant is divinely authored, it marks you. But then, just as quickly as the connection began, things fell apart. Or so it seemed. Some of you tried to hold on to it. Some of you let go out of fear or confusion. Others were pushed away. Regardless of how it happened, you ended up separated and questioning everything. And here's the truth. That separation was not punishment. It was preparation. God pulled you both apart Because there were deep generational things that needed to be broken. You couldn't carry old bloodline curses into a divine marriage. You couldn't drag past wounds into a prophetic covenant. This time apart wasn't wasted. It was holy. It was sacred ground. You were being cleansed, tested, refined. And so was your person. What felt like abandonment was actually the mercy of God saying, "Not yet. I need to make sure this lasts forever." Because when God arranges a union, divorce is not on the table. He doesn't bring two souls together only to watch them crumble under the weight of their unhealed trauma. He waits. He works. He refines. And when it's finally time, he reintroduces you to each other, new, whole, and ready. What many don't understand is that the warfare wasn't just about the relationship. It was about your purpose. Hell knew what would be unlocked if the two of you came together prematurely. So the attacks came hard. Miscommunication, third parties, delays, spiritual confusion. But through it all, God was still moving. He allowed the distance to protect the design. He allowed the heartbreak to birth hunger. And now, after all the pruning, the one who once wasn't ready is ready. Your king is coming. Not just any man, not someone guessing his way into your life. This is someone who has been awakened by God. He knows who you are. He sees it now. He feels the weight of the assignment. And he's not coming to play games. He's coming prepared, refined, and surrendered. And this is why you had to wait. Because God wasn't just prepping him. He was prepping you. You're not the same either. You're stronger. You're wiser. You've stopped chasing what doesn't align. And now, everything is shifting. Just like Esther had to go through a year of preparation before stepping into the palace, you also had to go through a spiritual purification. Your oil had to be crushed. Your identity had to be clarified. God couldn't allow you to enter a sacred covenant while still questioning your own worth. He wanted to make sure that when your king came, you wouldn't shrink. You wouldn't self-sabotage. You wouldn't accept crumbs when you were meant for the crown. Your waiting wasn't passive. It was an altar. You were being made ready. And the same goes for your partner. The one God chose for you wasn't ready when you met. They may have still been in the world, stuck in cycles, addicted to attention, seduced by counterfeit flames. But God didn't abandon them. He started to deal with them. One by one, the idols had to fall. The pride had to break. The scales had to come off their eyes. And just like Saul became Paul after an encounter with the light, your person had to have a divine collision with truth. That's what's been happening behind the scenes. Sometimes you have to lose what you didn't value to understand what was divine. Your person didn't walk away because you weren't enough. They walked away because they didn't yet see clearly. But when God starts showing them your face in their dreams, when He begins stirring their spirit every time your name is mentioned, when everything else starts to fall flat, it's because He's calling them back, not to who you were, but to who you've become. And that's the key. This return is not to the past, it's to the future God has always had in mind. There's a divine order in kingdom alignment. Sometimes God lets you see the promise early, but He doesn't let you touch it yet. It's like Moses seeing the promised land from a distance. The vision is real, but the timing is sacred. So He waits until the soil of your soul is ready, until your hands can carry the weight of it, until your discernment is sharp enough not to destroy it. That's what He was doing in the waiting, building capacity, breaking patterns, teaching you how to protect what is holy. And now, the time has come. You're not in the same place you were emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. You've learned how to fast. You've learned how to pray. You've learned how to discern spirits and test fruit. You no longer move by feelings. You move by revelation. That's why you can feel this shift, even before it shows up physically. Your spirit knows. Something is about to break. Someone is about to reappear. And this time, it's not confusion, it's confirmation. There's a confidence that comes when you've been through fire and didn't die. You're not desperate. You're not chasing. You're not afraid to let go of what isn't aligned. And that strength is exactly why you're ready now. Because divine love requires stability. You can't build a kingdom marriage on insecurity. You can't build it on emotional dependency. It has to be rooted in God. And now that you've been rooted, now that your foundation is deep, the promise can manifest. Some of you are going to feel it before it happens. You'll wake up with an unexplainable peace. You'll start dreaming again. You'll sense the atmosphere around you shifting. That's how it begins. Because your spirit always receives it before your mind catches up. You may run into them unexpectedly, or they may reach out after months or years of silence. However it happens, you'll know. This isn't by chance. This is divine timing. And this time, they're not confused. They've been prepared. This is why the enemy fought your union so viciously. Not because of how you looked together, but because of what you carried together. Hell could smell the oil before you even realized what you were carrying. Demonic forces recognized that when you and your person came into agreement, entire bloodlines would shift. Ministries would be born. Generational curses would break. The union wasn't just romantic, it was revolutionary. So of course, there was sabotage. Of course, there was miscommunication, confusion, and temptation. But here's what the enemy never expected: that you would grow stronger in the separation, that you would find God in the silence, that instead of destroying your hope, the delay would deepen your discernment. What was meant to kill your love only purified it. When God ordains a marriage, He doesn't just match hearts, He matches assignments. Your purpose and your partner's purpose are interwoven by divine design. And that's why this connection was unlike anything else you've experienced. It didn't just stir your feelings, it stirred your destiny. Something inside you awakened when you met this person. And it wasn't obsession, it was recognition. Your soul knew. Your spirit remembered. Even if your mind doubted, even if your emotions were unstable, there was a knowing that couldn't be explained. That knowing wasn't infatuation. It was insight. You didn't find them by accident. God was showing you a glimpse of what's to come. But He was also testing your ability to trust Him with what you couldn't control. That's why the relationship didn't work the first time. Because it was never about working in your strength. It was about surrender. You couldn't fix them. You couldn't make it happen. You couldn't force what was still being prepared. That early connection was designed to break you, beautifully, to bring you to the end of yourself, so you would finally understand that love ordained by God cannot be sustained without God. You had to learn how to release, how to bless them even when they didn't choose you, how to keep your heart clean when the world told you to get even. And in that pruning, something supernatural happened. You were transformed. Your heart became fertile soil for real love, not fantasy, not performance, not trauma-bonded intensity, but a love that mirrors heaven. The silence wasn't rejection, it was instruction. God was teaching you how to see beyond the surface. He wanted to make sure that when they came back, you wouldn't just fall for a familiar face. You would test the fruit. You would look for consistency, obedience, humility. You would discern if they had been walking with God. Because anyone can say they've changed, but only the Spirit can reveal if they've truly been renewed. And that's the level of clarity you've now stepped into. You're no longer governed by urgency. You're led by wisdom. You don't need closure. You've received revelation. And with revelation comes rest. Because now you understand that what is yours doesn't need to be chased. It will be confirmed. And that's what's happening right now. For many of you, God has whispered it again in your spirit. He's coming. Not as the boy who ran, not as the broken man who didn't know what he carried, but as a king, a man who has wrestled with God in the secret place, a man who has faced his demons and laid them down, a man who doesn't just want your body, your time, or your loyalty, but your spirit. He's coming back because he finally sees you, and more importantly, he sees himself through the lens of Christ. This is the return of someone who has been reborn, someone who once was blind, but now, by the mercy of God, can see. But let's be clear, just because he's returning doesn't mean you abandon discernment. God may be the one sending him, but he still requires you to watch and pray. The fact that someone shows up doesn't automatically make them ready. Even divine timing demands accountability. Let him prove his consistency. Let him show his fruits. Let him lead, not with empty words, but with action, prayer, protection. This is not about going back. It's about going forward in alignment, and you don't have to rush. You don't have to abandon your healing just because someone returns. If it's real, time will not destroy it. If it's God, peace will confirm it. And when he comes, let him lead. You are not to chase him, pressure him, or pursue validation. If God is truly in it, the man will carry the courage to pursue you with honor. You don't need to flood his phone with texts, initiate contact, or prove your worth. You've already done your part. Your presence is confirmation enough, and God has made it clear. This time, he leads. You were never meant to carry the burden of both roles. You are the favor. You are the answered prayer. You are the rib, and your presence will activate him in ways that no striving ever could. So stand still. Let the Spirit lead, and let him walk through the door God has now opened. You were never meant to beg for what was written in heaven. If it was authored by God, you won't have to manipulate, prove, or perform to receive it. That's the difference between divine alignment and emotional entanglement. One requires striving, the other requires surrender. You've outgrown the version of yourself that tolerated inconsistency. You've passed the tests that broke the old version of you. And now, you sit in a position of peace. Not because everything around you has changed, but because you have. The obsession is gone. The need for validation has died. What remains is a knowing, deep and immovable. What is meant by God will always find you. And now, it's finding you. And for some of you, this return will look nothing like what you expected. He may not come back with poetic words or dramatic confessions. He may return humbly, carefully, aware that what he walked away from was sacred. Don't miss the restoration just because it doesn't arrive wrapped in the packaging your wounded heart imagined. Real transformation is often quiet. It shows up in consistency, in service, in humility. So don't look for performance. Look for fruit. Look for prayer. Look for alignment. You've seen passion before. What you need now is peace. And the right one, when it's time, will carry it with him. But there's another group of you, those who still feel raw. You were left without closure. You feel like they ghosted you, played you, discarded you, like you were nothing. And I need to speak directly to your pain. God saw every tear. He recorded every sleepless night, and he has not forgotten the injustice. That person may not have understood your value, but God never stopped preparing you. What felt like abandonment was actually redirection. And you weren't being rejected, you were being protected. Because if they had stayed in the condition they were in, they would have broken you further. But now there's restoration in the air. And only you can discern if the one returning is the one reborn, or just another test in disguise. This is why your relationship with the Holy Spirit is your safest compass. You can't trust appearances. You can't move just because they say the right words or seem sincere. You must pray. You must fast. You must listen to that still small voice inside. And if you feel confusion instead of clarity, wait. If peace doesn't lead the moment, it's not God. He will confirm what is real through repetition, revelation, and rest. You won't need to ask 10 people for advice. You'll just know. Because the God who began the good work will be the one to finish it. And when it's truly Him, the peace will be louder than the noise. You were never meant to carry the burden of making someone see you. That was never your assignment. Your only role was to reflect the light of Christ and to stay obedient to your process. Everything else, recognition, pursuit, alignment, is God's responsibility. And when He says it's time, He makes all things new. So don't rush it. Don't force it. Don't open doors too quickly out of loneliness. Your heart is too valuable to be handed over in haste. Guard it, but don't close it, because when God is in it, He will not let you miss it. And let's be honest, some of you had to heal from a distorted view of love. You thought pain was passion. You confused instability with excitement. You believed that if it didn't hurt, it wasn't deep. But God is rewriting that narrative now. He's teaching you that true love brings rest, safety, and growth. It doesn't leave you guessing. It doesn't abandon you in moments of need. It doesn't require you to chase. The love that comes from God is bold, but never forceful. It's patient, but never passive. And it will speak your language, not just with words, but with action. So now, you stand at a threshold. You're not who you were. You've passed through fire and came out gold. The season of desperation is over. The season of divine positioning has begun. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to scream to be seen. You are chosen, you are covered, and you are ready. And whether it's tomorrow, next week, or next season, what God has ordained will not be withheld. Your King is coming, not just to love you, but to partner with you in destiny. And heaven is already rejoicing. And this is bigger than you. It always was. This union isn't just about companionship. It's about a spiritual assignment that affects generations. There are people tied to your obedience. There are lives that will be changed by your story. That's why the preparation was so intense. That's why the loneliness was so deep. That's why the warfare never stopped. Because the enemy didn't just want your heart broken, he wanted your faith crushed. He wanted you to give up on love, to give up on hope, to settle for a counterfeit that would dilute your purpose. But you didn't fold. You stayed. You fought. You grew. And that's why the promise is being released. Because you're finally aligned with the weight of your calling. What you've been breaking in the spirit isn't light. Some of you weren't just dealing with personal wounds. You were dismantling altars from generations before you. You were tearing down ancestral agreements, soul ties, bloodline curses, and cycles of abandonment, infidelity, and confusion. And as if that weren't enough, people were actively speaking against your promise. Some tried to curse you. Some tried to mimic you. Some tried to steal what was meant for you. But none of it worked, because what's written in heaven cannot be stolen by human hands. Your victory was already signed by the blood of Jesus, and no demon has the authority to override that decree. And now, the King is being released. Just like Joseph was pulled out of the prison when Pharaoh had a dream, your partner is about to be summoned into position. He's no longer the man you remember. He's been through battles. He's lost things. He's learned to pray. He's learned to fast. He's begun walking in identity. And just like God brought Ruth into Boaz's field at the right time, you will find yourself divinely placed in front of each other. This time, with spiritual eyes to truly see. No more guessing. No more striving. No more delay. The alignment has begun, and heaven is ready to endorse it. But let's pause for a moment. When this moment arrives, don't forget everything you've learned in the wilderness. Don't abandon your discernment just because you're excited. Don't ignore red flags out of hope. Don't slip back into old patterns just because you see a familiar face. Stay grounded. Let the Holy Spirit lead. Let peace be your confirmation. Test the fruit. Ask the hard questions. Watch their walk, not just their words. God didn't bring you this far for you to move in fear. But He also didn't bring you this far for you to repeat past mistakes. You are wiser now. act like it. And when the door opens, walk through it slowly, not anxiously. This is not a race. This is a holy journey. Ask God to give you eyes to see clearly and ears to hear what is not being said. Because divine love is not loud, it's consistent. It doesn't rush you. It doesn't confuse you. It brings confirmation, comfort, and covering. That is the love you've been prepared for. That is the love that's on its way to you. Don't rush it. Receive it. Let it unfold the way heaven intended. Your only job is to stay ready, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. Some of you have waited years for this. You've cried in silence. You've warred through seasons where no one understood your depth. You've had to forgive people who never apologized. You've had to release those who left you in pieces. And yet, through it all, your heart remained soft. That is a miracle. And because of that, God is trusting you with a love that reflects His nature. One that heals, one that builds, one that protects. And this time, it won't require you to lose yourself to be loved. This time, your soul will feel safe. You didn't wait in vain. You didn't endure all this just to be disappointed again. What's coming is not a repeat, it's a redemption. A divine restoration that will make every tear worth it. And when it arrives, you'll know. Because the version of you who once would have chased, begged, or settled no longer exists. You are royalty, and your heart is reserved for someone who knows how to honor the throne God has placed inside you. And when that person comes, he will not just recognize your beauty, he will honor your calling. And when he comes, when your king stands before you, humbled and ready, don't be afraid to receive love with new eyes. This is not about forgetting the pain. It's about honoring the growth. God did not bring you through fire for you to question your worth at the finish line. You are allowed to ask for proof. You are allowed to require consistency. You are allowed to expect fruit. This is not pride. It's wisdom. And if it is truly God bringing him back, then he will understand the cost of your heart. He won't run from accountability. He'll rise to meet it. You don't have to pretend the past didn't hurt. But now, you get to decide how the story ends, with God's hand on the pen. So pray. Stay close to the Spirit. Stay sensitive. Don't rush to announce what's happening. Keep it sacred. Let the fruit grow in silence. And watch how God moves. Because when heaven backs a union, it won't need to be hyped. It will simply be. You won't have to convince people. You won't have to over-explain. The peace will be your proof. The glow will be your witness. And the alignment will be undeniable. Let him come. Let him lead. Let God be glorified in your love story. Not through perfection, but through surrender. If this word resonated with your spirit, I want you to declare it below in the comments. Write, I am ready for divine alignment. Your agreement in the Spirit matters. And if you've made it this far in the video, I know God is confirming some things deep within your soul. Don't keep this to yourself. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next prophetic word. Someone else needs to hear this too. Share it if it moved you. I also want to take a moment to thank everyone who has supported this ministry through Buy Me a Coffee. Your support means more than I can express. It helps us upgrade our tools, bring more depth into every video, and keep this space safe and spirit-led. If you feel led to support us too, the link is in the first pinned comment. Let this moment mark the start of something new. Your alignment has already begun. Walk in it, stay protected, stay grounded, and stay close to the voice of God. Until next time.